Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your Monday Night Raw post-show, man. And there is a lot to talk about in today's episode. This was supposed to be the biggest Raw of the year. Usually 9 times out of 10, that's usually the case, Raw after Mania. We have a lot to talk about in today's episode, man. We have the full rundown, obviously, of what happened and what went down on Monday Night Raw last night. We hear from Obafemi. Obviously, a lot of people were waiting to hear from Obafemi after his big win over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. We have Io Sky and Rhea Ripley in action as well. We hear from former World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. We also see Javon Evans in action. We also see Liv Morgan, the newly crowned Women's World Heavyweight Champion. We also see Liv Morgan in action as well. We have a Brock Lesnar vignette, which we'll talk more about Brock Lesnar at the end of today's episode. We also hear from The Vision as well as Braun Breaker. We have JD McDonough in action as well. And we also hear from the current World Heavyweight Champion, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. And we also get some NXT call-ups showing up last night on Monday Night Raw. We'll talk more about that as well in today's episode. But man, let's get into the night. We start off with the ruler, Obafemi. Obafemi comes out to the ring. The fans are chanting Oba. Oba grabs a microphone, and all Oba says is that the ruler has arrived. Now, look, man, if you guys have been following the podcast, you guys know how I feel about Obafemi. Obafemi is a guy that's going to be carrying this company on his back for the next 10, 15 years. I mean, he is the guy. This is the guy. This is the next big superstar in WWE, the next big thing. And a lot of people were saying that it has a lot of similarities to when Brock Lesnar stepped on the scene in early 2000 when he came into WWE and he was working under the likes of Paul Heyman. Oba is that guy. Oba is the guy that's going to carry this company for the next 20 years. And the fact that, going into WrestleMania, I told you guys, this was the heavyweight slugfest that a lot of people were anticipating. Ever since this matchup was announced between Oba and Brock, this was that match at WrestleMania that everybody watching WrestleMania around the world, or even at the venue in Las Vegas, everybody was standing up and watching this match. Because you got two Goliaths, two heavyweights in the ring. On one side of the fence you have Obafemi, and then the other side of the fence you have Brock Lesnar, the ruler versus the beast. And the fact that both these guys, these Goliaths, were going to lock horns in the middle of the ring. Everybody was excited to see this matchup. And I was happy with the outcome. I was happy that Oba got the win over Brock. I mean, I think a lot of people were also shocked with not only the outcome of the match, but with what happened at the end of the match. And the fact that Brock Lesnar seemingly has, retired. It seems like Brock Lesnar is stepping away from WWE, and he's done. He's retiring. I know a lot of people are still clamoring for a possibility of a Brock Lesnar versus Gunther match, which we'll talk more about that at the end of today's episode and my thoughts on Brock. But I was shocked. I was shocked that Lesnar walked away. I thought Lesnar probably actually had some more time left in WWE. The only issue that I had with Lesnar after the match with Oba was really genuinely what's next for Brock Lesnar. And the only name that, in my mind, that popped up was Gunther. And the reason why that is because Gunther has been on this retirement tour, seemingly, where he's retiring superstars. I mean, it started with Goldberg, and went from Goldberg to John Cena, and then from John Cena to AJ Styles. So the fact that we have Gunther as this career killer, if you will, and retiring these superstars, it did beg the question if WWE was going to book a matchup possibly between Gunther and Brock Lesnar, and Gunther is going to retire another superstar in Brock Lesnar. But that right now, that does not seem to be the case. But like I said, we'll talk more about that at the end of today's episode, man. But I was excited to see Oba. Obviously, he's immensely over right now. And, after the post-show went on the air after WrestleMania for WWE, I mean, Oba made his mind up on what he wants to do next. Oba wants to go after the World Heavyweight title. He wants to go after Roman. And now that Roman is the World Heavyweight Champion, Roman has a humongous target on his back where a lot of superstars now are pretty much clamoring for an opportunity to face off against Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight title. So we're going to see how this plays out, man, with Roman and as well as Obafemi going into this summer. But Moving on from that, we go into our first official match to kick off Monday Night Raw. It is Io Sky teaming up with Rhea Ripley to take on the Kabuki Warriors. Now, this was a decent match. There was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams with the Kabuki Warriors keeping the pace of the match. Asuka hits a running knee in the middle of the ring, followed by Kairi Sane hitting an insane elbow to the outside, taking out Rhea Ripley. Asuka then hits a codebreaker. Io then hits a brutal dive to the outside. Rhea then hits a riptide. Io goes to the top rope, hits a moonsault off the top, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Hats off to Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we hear from former World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. Now, we can see Punk walking through the arena. He walks through the gorilla position. When he gets out to the stage, he has no music. And then, he kneels down, everybody says clopper in time, and then his music hits. But you can tell that there was something off with CM Punk last night. The demeanor of CM Punk was completely different after he lost the World Heavyweight title. So, Punk comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone, and he says that he's been dealing with a lot of loss. He talks about the loss of his MMA coach, as well as Larry passing away. He also talks about the WWE staff that has passed away. He mentions paying respect to them with the ring jacket, also paying respect to the late, great Harley Race. Punk talks about losing last night, or at WrestleMania. He also mentions that every week the fans have helped him in recovering from all this loss that he's been dealing with. Punk says being champion gave him a reason. He also thanks the fans for helping him. He also says the fans will help him after what happened at WrestleMania. Punk talks about pouring his heart and soul in the WWE. He also says that he lost last night, but he is happy because he is the best in the world. Punk says that last night wasn't his night, but he says that he's going to stay ready. After that, CM Punk is interrupted by current WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out to the ring. He takes off his sunglasses, and you can see the devastating bruise that he received from Randy Orton from that devastating punt kick that Orton landed on Rhodes at WrestleMania. His eye was completely swollen and bruised. Punk says that he was going to leave and give Cody his time. Rhodes tells Punk not to leave, that this is his show. Rhodes then thought Punk was going to freak out after his loss against Roman. Rhodes says that he's glad Punk got his flowers. Rhodes says that he doesn't know why he is standing here looking like a loser. Punk asks, why? What do you think? I'm a loser? Punk tells Rhodes, you beat a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you beat a legend. Punk then mocks Roman. Punk then tells Rhodes to keep being champion and keep defending the title. After this, Punk says that he's got to stay ready and looks down at the WWE title. After that, Punk then leaves the ring. He goes to walk backstage. Cody grabs the mic and tells CM Punk, just say when. A couple things I want to talk about this, man. Number one, it was great to see this moment between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. If you guys go back to Friday Night SmackDown, going into WrestleMania, you had both Cody Rhodes and CM Punk standing in the middle of the ring, talking about their friendship, talking about the fact at that time that it was a moment. It was a moment for Rhodes, it was a moment for Punk, the fact that both these guys were good friends, and at the time, both world champions for their respective brands. And then we hear Cody Rhodes and CM Punk last night. Now, this may be hypocritical for a lot of people, or maybe cliche with what I'm about to say here about Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. This matchup here between Rhodes and Punk is, again, another super fight, if you will. This is a match, at least in my opinion, a match that a lot of people want to see, and myself included. This is probably one of the biggest matches on the table for both Rhodes and Punk at this point. Now, when this match will take place, I mean, honestly, at this point, we got SummerSlam coming up in August. SummerSlam's going to be 2 nights. They need something that's going to solidify them at SummerSlam going into Minneapolis. I would book CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE title. Because like I said before, you got 2 nights for SummerSlam going into Minneapolis, Minnesota. You need something. And at this point, I mean, coming out of the matchup for CM Punk and Roman Reigns, a lot of people now are asking what's next for CM Punk. Some people thought that he was going to take some time off. But Punk says that he's going to be staying ready. I don't think Punk is going anywhere anytime soon. Now, he might have to climb up the ladder. Maybe. But Cody Rhodes gave him one hell of a proposition last night with the opportunity to tell Punk, just say when, for an opportunity at the WWE title. So, to me, I mean, all signs are pointing towards going into SummerSlam. I don't think we're going to wait till WrestleMania next year. I think they're going to be in Saudi next year for WrestleMania. I mean, that's a whole year that we're going to put this match on the shelf after what happened last night between these two guys in the middle of the ring. I would slowly build this story up the best way that you could going into this year's SummerSlam in August. Because you're going to need something. And I would entertain the idea of booking this matchup. This is a dream match for a lot of fans. Obviously, there's there's history there between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. We're also talking about two former AEW talents now in WWE and that are just killing it right now in WWE. And I think it's a matchup that a lot of people, myself included, really want to see. So, yeah, I'm all for Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Javon Evans taking on the new addition to Monday Night Raw, Ethan Page. That is correct. Ethan Page is now Monday Night Raw bound. He is now called up from NXT. But the match itself between Javon and Ethan was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup with Evans hitting a stunner on Ethan Page. Evans was trying to keep the pace of the match with hitting a springboard Hurricane Rana. Page then gets up, hits a power slam on Evans for a near fall. Rusev is here. Evans attacks Rusev, and Page ends up hitting the finish. Pins for the 3. And your winner of the match is Ethan Page. After the match, Rusev attacks Evans. Rusev applies an accolade. But Penta is here. Penta attacks Rusev, but Rusev hits a Machka kick on Penta. Rusev then applies an accolade on Penta, and Rusev then holds up the Intercontinental title. Now, a couple things about this too, man, and it might just be me saying this, but after what we saw at Mania, in that ladder match, which was absolutely incredible, and I told you guys that maybe, just maybe, WWE needs to entertain the idea of bringing Money in the Bank back to WrestleMania. I thought the ladder match was incredible. I thought the competitors in that matchup were great for that type of matchup. You had Rey Mysterio, you had JD McDonough, you had Rusev, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee also involved in that matchup, Penta as well. It was a great ladder match, and it really spoke volumes to a lot of people, and myself included, to a point where, like I said, that hopefully WWE entertains the idea of bringing back Money in the Bank as a matchup at WrestleMania. Now, with that being said, seeing Javon Evans, now the fact that we've seen Ethan Page getting called up to the main roster, Finn Balor has been facing off against JD McDonough, JD's now in the picture for the Intercontinental title, Rusev. You have an abundance of names in the mid-card right now to go after the Intercontinental title. And this could play out for weeks and months for the chase for Penta's Intercontinental title. The mid-card right now in the Intercontinental Championship scene right now on Monday Night Raw is red hot. You got Finn, JD McDonough, Rusev, Penta, Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Ethan Page, the possibility of the return of Sheamus, Rusev. I mean, and the list goes on, bro. So, I mean, yeah, right now, the mid-card scene for Monday Night Raw, the Intercontinental title scene for Monday Night Raw is red hot. So, I'm all for this, man. I'm happy with the call-up from Ethan Page. It was well overdue. Throwing Ethan Page into the mix on Monday Night Raw, yeah, I mean, absolutely. The Intercontinental Championship scene right now is looking red hot on Monday Night Raw. I'm definitely excited to see what's next for Penta, as well as the chase for the Intercontinental title. Moving on from that, we hear from Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan comes out with the Judgment Day. The fans say Liv deserves it. Liv then says the fans are in the presence of the greatest Women's World Champion of all time. Liv then thanks the Judgment Day. She also thanks Stephanie Vaquer. Liv says that they beat the hell out of each other at WrestleMania. But Liv says that she is the most talented woman in WWE. After this, Liv Morgan is interrupted by Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca comes out to the ring. Sol says she's sorry for interrupting, but she admires Liv. Sol says that Liv is the top woman of this division. Liv says that Sol has some nerve coming out here interrupting her celebration. Liv then tells Sol that she is no Liv Morgan. Sol then says that she's not here for a fight, but she's not backing down from one either. After this, Adam Pearce is here. Pearce says that it sounds like the fans want to see a fight. Pearce announces that it will be Liv Morgan versus Sol Ruca right now, which gets us into an impromptu matchup here between the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and Sol Ruca. Now, the match itself I thought was a great match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Liv and Sol, with Sol keeping the pace of the match. Sol hits an X-Factor in the middle of the ring, followed by a moonsault to the outside, taking out Liv Morgan. Sol Ruca and Liv Morgan both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Sol Ruca hitting a running knee on Liv Morgan for a near fall. Liv then gets up, hits a codebreaker for a near fall. Liv then goes for an Oblivion, but Sol Ruca counters the Oblivion. Ruca then hits a Soul Snatcher, followed by Ruca hitting a handspring moonsault to the outside, taking out Roxanne and Raquel Rodriguez. Then out of nowhere, Zarya is here. Zarya attacks Sol Ruca. Liv capitalizes on this by hitting an Oblivion on Sol Ruca, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day then walk up to the ramp to go to the backstage area, but they're interrupted by Stephanie Vaquer. Then Liv and Stephanie Vaquer have a face-to-face at the entrance ramp leading up to the backstage area. So it looks like Stephanie Vaquer has some unfinished business with Liv Morgan. Now, I'll also say this. Sol Ruca, I think she'd be a great addition to Monday Night Raw. I think that finish that she has with the Soul Snatcher is fantastic. It's one of the best finishes in WWE by far. And call me crazy, but Sol Ruca gives a lot of vibes of Lita when Lita was in Team Extreme. She has the same look, a lot of similar moves set to Lita. And there's a lot of similarities here between Sol Ruca and Lita. And I think Sol Ruca, if she is in fact going to Monday Night Raw, would flourish a lot on the main roster for Monday Night Raw. Absolutely. And again, I mean, yeah, SmackDown can use some talent, and hopefully we get some more NXT call-ups that end up showing up on SmackDown, because SmackDown is roughly about 3 hours. It's probably the worst 3 hours of all professional wrestling. But it was great to see Sol Ruca. I think Sol Ruca gave Liv Morgan one hell of a match. And I look forward to what's going to happen next with Sol Ruca. Obviously, she has some unfinished business with Zarya. But seeing Sol Ruca on the main roster, I'm absolutely all for it. And I think it's time, well overdue, for her to make her main roster debut or main roster, move from NXT to Monday Night Raw. And moving on from that, we have a Brock Lesnar vignette. It was pretty much a tribute video to Brock Lesnar. I'm going to be honest, man, and I told you guys I was going to talk about this more at the end of the episode today, but the way things are playing out with Lesnar, and the fact that we get this tribute video, they're already selling merchandise for Brock as far as him being done. Paul Heyman making comments about him last night on Monday Night Raw, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. It's almost a safe bet that Brock Lesnar is done, that he is hanging him up and he is walking away from WWE. And you know what, man? I mean, like I said, I've had my own, I wouldn't say personal issues, but I've had my issues with Lesnar. You guys all are well aware of that and everything else like that, so I'm not going to go back down that road again. But I look at Brock Lesnar in this aspect as the wrestler and what he's done for WWE, the matches that he has had, and what he gave to the fans while he was working with WWE. I mean, this is a multi-sport athlete. We're talking about a guy that it's a former, WWE champion. We're talking about a guy that is, a two-time NCAA champion in collegiate wrestling for the University of Minnesota. We're talking about a guy that came to developmental in OVW to get his opportunity to work with WWE. This was well before NXT was even a thing, when he was working with Ohio Valley Wrestling to get, called up to the main roster and make a humongous splash day one. And then to a guy that, like I said, is a multi-sport athlete. A guy that is a former UFC World Heavyweight Champion. So I don't think there's anybody out here that's going to discredit the athlete that Brock Lesnar is. He is a beast. He is a force to be reckoned with. This is a guy that, made a huge impact obviously in WWE, obviously in UFC and MMA. Obviously he's a collegiate superstar, being a 2-time NCAA champion. I mean, he's a multi-sport athlete, man, and there's never going to be another person on this planet like Brock Lesnar, as far as what he's done in his life, as far as being, a wrestler, a collegiate athlete, and a multi-sport phenom. To be honest with you, there's never going to be another Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I mean, after this video, and by the way, the music for this video package for Brock was great. It was awesome, and they were showing clips of Brock, going through OVW, going through the UFC. You had Dana White talking about Brock, Kurt Angle talking about Brock, other people that knew Brock, and just showing Brock's rise to stardom in WWE and what he's done in WWE and what he's done in UFC. I don't think there's ever going to be somebody else on this planet that's going to replace what Brock Lesnar has done in WWE. So, taking away the person that Brock Lesnar is to the superstar that Brock is in WWE, you got to give credit where credit's due, man. This is a guy that came into WWE and it was the next big thing. This was a guy that when that bell rung, you were in for one hell of a fight. And Brock was in there to beat your ass, whether you liked it or not. So, when any wrestler that had to face off against Brock and they go up to check the marquee and see that their name's next to Brock Lesnar, you know that you're in for one hell of a night that night. And if Brock is done, again, great wrestler, Godspeed. And yeah, I think he shocked a lot of people when he hung up his boots after his matchup against Obafemi. So whatever's next for Brock, Godspeed. And yeah, I mean, what he's done as a professional wrestler, man, I don't think it's ever going to be duplicated ever again, to be honest with you. As far as being a multi-sport athlete, I don't think we're ever going to see that again, besides what we saw with Brock Lesnar. So, again, Godspeed to Brock Lesnar. And moving on from that, though, we hear from the Vision. Vision come out to the ring, Logan Paul and Austin Theory with Paul Heyman. Heyman grabs the microphone and says he had a whole speech prepared. But Heyman says, expect the unexpected. Heyman then mocks Punk. Heyman then mocks the production team. He says, please take Lesnar out of the now and put him in the forever, you assholes. Heyman then hypes up Brock Lesnar. Fans chant, thank you, Brock. Heyman then says, let's talk about the now, the vision. Logan grabs the microphone and talks about the only reason why the Usos and LA Knight stole a victory at WrestleMania was because of I Show Speed. Fans after that are booing Logan Paul. Logan then mocks I Show Speed, and Logan says that he hates the Outsiders. Logan says they left WrestleMania still tag team champions. After this, Heyman then grabs a microphone and talks about the favor that he owes to Gunther. After this, Heyman then talks about Braun Breaker. After this, Braun Breaker comes out to the ring. Braun says that he was thinking. Braun says 1 year ago he became the leader of the Vision. Braun says that his favorite thing about WrestleMania was ruining Rollins' WrestleMania match. Braun says from here on out, Braun is coming after Rollins. After this, Seth Rollins' music hits. Rollins attacks the Vision from behind with a chair. The Vision then somehow attack Rollins, but out of nowhere, we hear the Street Profits music. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, they come out to the ring and attack the Vision. Breaker is busted wide open. Rollins then hits a super kick on Braun, but Braun hits a spear on Rollins. Braun and Rollins are both fighting in the middle of the ring, and Braun yells at Rollins, I never needed your sorry ass. And then Braun ends up hitting another spear, taking out Seth Rollins. Clearly, Braun Breaker has some unfinished business with Seth Rollins. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as J.D. McDonough from the Judgment Day taking on Finn Balor. Now, the match itself was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between J.D. and Finn, with Finn keeping the pace of the match. Finn then hits a sling blade on J.D., but J.D. hits a headbutt on Finn Balor for a near fall. Finn then goes to the top rope, hits a coup de grace off the top rope, landing on J.D., pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Finn Balor. But after the match, though, Dominic Mysterio comes out of nowhere, attacks Finn Balor, but then Finn Balor fights back. So it looks like Dominic Mysterio has some unfinished business with Finn Balor. And moving on from that, we hear from the current World Heavyweight Champion himself, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. You can see Roman pulling up in an SUV in the parking lot area. He's walking around with the World Heavyweight title. Roman then makes it to the gorilla position. He spots the Usos standing in gorilla. Roman says, hey, what are you guys doing? Why don't you guys come out here with me and celebrate this World Heavyweight title win? So Roman comes out to the ring with the Usos. Roman grabs a microphone and says he misses the Usos and that he misses doing business with the Usos. Roman then hypes up the Usos as well of hyping up Jey Uso and calling him the main event. Roman says that with him and the Usos together, nobody can beat him. Roman then asks the Usos to stand with him. Jimmy says that Roman will always be their tribal chief. And the Usos stand in the ring. They put the ones up in the middle of the ring and seemingly joining the tribal chief. But out of nowhere, we hear Jacob Fatu's music hits. Jacob Fatu comes out to the ring. Roman grabs a microphone and says, it's been a while since he's seen Fatu. Roman says, you must be here to acknowledge him. Fatu says, nah, that ain't it. Fatu says that he doesn't want that title, but he needs that title. Fatu says that he needs everything that the tribal chief has. The houses, the watches, the title, the new life, the money. He needs it all. A better life for himself and a better life for his family. Fatu says at Backlash, he wants Roman. Roman then says that he agrees, that he wants all those things too. Roman says if Fatu beats him, can he carry the burden of the world title and being world champion? But Roman says if Fatu loses, can he also carry the burden of acknowledging Roman Reigns? And then Monday Night Raw goes off the air with Fatu and Roman in the middle of the ring. Couple things I want to talk about with you guys, man, about Monday Night Raw before I get the hell up out of here. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Number one, it's great to see Roman back on Raw. And the fact that he's World Heavyweight Champion. I know there was a lot of hesitation from the fans with Roman beating CM Punk due to the fact that Roman's a part-time guy. You know, leading us into WrestleMania this year, it wasn't like we were seeing Roman Reigns on a consistent basis throughout the year. It was very selective when we saw Roman because he was working a very limited part-time schedule. So going into WrestleMania with this matchup between Reigns and Punk, a lot of people were worried if Roman beats Punk, are we going to have a part-time World Heavyweight Champion where we're going to hardly see Roman Reigns with the World Heavyweight title? But we get to the post-show after WrestleMania, and Roman had made it clear to the fans and fans around the world that he is not going anywhere. And that we're going to be seeing a lot more of Roman during the spring and summer months. Now, I know Roman had a contract coming up for WWE. He probably signed, obviously, the new deal. Roman's not going anywhere. And that new deal probably was a lot more money for a lot more dates. Which means, again, we're probably going to be seeing Roman Reigns a lot more during the spring and summer months. I can see Roman having a decent title reign here with the World Heavyweight title. I can. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is going to be a long, elaborate title reign like he had when he was Universal Champion. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I think Roman Reigns will definitely carry this title going in well past the summer. In my opinion. Now, what a lot of other people are talking about too is the fact that we saw Roman with the Usos. And I'm not going to lie, and I might be the only one saying this, but last night did give off vibes of, once again, WWE reuniting the Bloodline with Roman and Jimmy and Jay, minus Solo Sikoa this time. I'm not sitting here saying that that's not going to happen. My issue with that is how are we going to do this again? And reuniting the Bloodline and making it have any kind of sense of meaning or any kind of significance now than what we just had with the Bloodline with Roman going up against Cody. When Cody dethroned Roman and became WWE Champion. How can the Bloodline 2.0, if you will, have any similarities or be better than what we had the first time around when Roman was on SmackDown? That's my other question with that. You know, you had the Usos standing in the ring, putting their ones up in the air, pretty much joining the tribal chief. How is this going to play out? You know, I think the biggest thing, too, is that Jacob Fatu. You know, Fatu coming out to the ring last night, telling Roman, hey, I don't want that title. I need that goddamn title. I need the life that you have. I need that watch. I need that money. I need the planes. I need the cars. I need a better life for myself and my family. You know, I can get behind what Fatu is saying. I can get and the reason why that is the emotions with this storyline. Fatu is a changed man. You know, obviously he had a dark past. Going in now to Monday Night Raw, he's got a new outlook on life. He wants to be a better man. He wants to be a better father. He wants to be a better man for his family. And when he made those comments last night, man, it stuck with me. It really did. And I think it's going to bring some emotion into this possible matchup here between Fatu and Roman. You know, Fatu made it abundantly clear he's not trying to be the tribal chief, but he wants to be the man. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be at the top of the card. And the only way you could be at the top of the card is to be the world heavyweight champion. And Fatu knows that. Fatu knows that he went through hell with Drew. But Fatu sees a bigger picture. Fatu sees himself being world heavyweight champion. And I told you guys, as far as Fatu is concerned, he is by far one of the biggest acquisitions that WWE has ever gotten to sign with WWE. And there is plenty enough matches for Fatu, no doubt. Oba, Gunther, you know, there's a lot of matches on the table for Fatu. Sure. Penta, absolutely. You know, Rusev. So there's matches on the table for Fatu. And I think this matchup should happen at Backlash. I really do. I think this is something that will be a great match for Roman, a great match for Fatu. But it does beg the question. If we do get this match at Backlash, where I do not see Roman losing the belt right now at all, does this mean that we're getting a reunion here with the Bloodline, with the Usos and Jacob Fatu acknowledging Roman Reigns? Or is this something where maybe Jimmy and Jay is going to pull a ruse on Roman and cost Roman the matchup against Fatu? And maybe the Usos do not join Roman this time around. That's the biggest question going into all this. And I don't know how we top. If they are going to reunite the Bloodline, bro, I don't know how we're going to make the Bloodline better or similar to what we had the first time around. Because I'm telling you right now, that original Bloodline, bro, was like fine wine, bro. It got better and better over time. The cinema and the storyline that we got with Rhodes and Roman, it sold itself. I remember the stare down that both Rhodes and Roman had at the Georgia Tech football stadium in Georgia. It was pure cinema, leading us into their matchup at WrestleMania. Pure cinema. So I don't know if we're going to get something else like that, but we do know that there is certain superstars that are calling their shot for Roman Reigns' World Heavyweight title. Gunther, LA Knight, and now Jacob Fatu is calling his shot for the World Heavyweight title against Roman Reigns. I think this match should be booked at Backlash. You know, the other thing is, too, and again, call it crazy, but we do know that WrestleMania next year is going to I believe it is going to be in Saudi. And the fans over there, they want the best of the best. So maybe they are doing some kind of Bloodline storyline here where maybe, just maybe, the final boss does get involved, because at the end of the day, there's one match that everybody wants to see Roman have. They want to see Rock and Roman. And there could be something where, again, going into next year, going into WrestleMania, we get that matchup here between Rock and Roman. And somehow maybe leading us into WrestleMania next year, The Rock gets involved in the Bloodline situation with Roman. I don't know. You know what I mean? But again, that's one match that a lot of fans have been clamoring for. A lot of people want to see Rock and Roman. Now, whether that's for the World Heavyweight title, I don't know. But that's a matchup that a lot of fans want to see. You know, but we also have SummerSlam coming up. How's Obafemi also calling his shot to Roman? How's Obafemi going to fall into that? Because the problem is, if we're going to get something between Obafemi and Roman Reigns, I'm not, call it crazy, bro, but Oba can't take a loss, man. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and say the guy's never going to lose. But coming off of the biggest win of his career, beating Brock Lesnar, his first time, going up for the world title, I can't see Oba losing. So that's the other question that is out there. When is Oba going to get the opportunity against Roman? And when is that match going to take place? Is it going to be at SummerSlam? Is it going to be at WrestleMania? Because you got to remember, SummerSlam's 2 nights, bro, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then WrestleMania is not till next year. So how is this going to play out for Oba Femi trying to become the new number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight title? That's the other big question for Roman. Because there is a laundry list of people that have their eyes on that World Heavyweight title. Like I mentioned, Gunther, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, Oba Femi. Guys are gunning for Roman to take that World Heavyweight title away from Roman. And Roman is, basically trying to recruit the Usos to stand with him, to have his back, because he knows that he has a humongous target on his back right now with wearing that World Heavyweight title. We see the return of Braun Breaker as well. Talk about that too. Braun Breaker's back. It's great to see Braun back. But now he has his sights set on Seth Rollins. I mean, he told Seth Rollins last night that he never needed Rollins' sorry ass. So that matchup is going to go down. And whether it's going to be in Tampa for Backlash or it's going to go down at SummerSlam, that match is going down between Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. That's going to happen. Now, Bronson Reed, obviously, he's still out with injury as well. I mean, honestly, the way I see this shit playing out, bro, is the fact that we saw the Vision being attacked last night, Braun Breaker being attacked. I can see a 6-man tag team matchup going into Backlash. I can see Rollins teaming up with the returning of the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, teaming up to take on Braun Breaker and the Vision, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul at Backlash in about 3 weeks. After that, then I can see Rollins and Breaker in a main event at SummerSlam, whether it be night 1 or night 2. Absolutely. But I'm calling it now. I could see a 6-man tag team matchup here between Rollins and the Street Profits taking on Braun Breaker and the Vision. Absolutely. And I'm all for it. And I even told you guys, man, it'd be great to see Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. I think I even made comments about that after the announcement from Bianca Belair that she was, they were expecting. I was like, man, it'd be great to see Montez Ford come back, and then we get the Raw, and guess who we see? Montez Ford, which I think Ford is severely underrated. I also think the same thing for Dawkins. The Street Profits should be multi-time tag team champions. They're a great tag team, bro. Great tag team. It does beg the question, though, what would happen if they split up? And what would happen with Montez Ford? Because there was a lot of people that were, anticipating Montez Ford on a solo run. I mean, hell, even when the Vision was first announced, and we saw these people that were wearing the mask, and nobody knew who the hell these people were at the time, until Austin Theory revealed himself as the guy behind wearing the mask. There were some people out there that were even contemplating that was Montez Ford. I think myself included. I think Ford would have been great in the Vision. He's a great athlete, bro. He's a good wrestler. Absolutely. He's great on the microphone. Absolutely. But it's great to see the Street Profits back. And it looks like they're aligning themselves up with Seth Rollins to take on Braun Breaker and the Vision. Which I'm calling it now. I can see that matchup taking place in about 3 weeks for Backlash. Absolutely. I'm all for that. Like I said, we also get NXT call-ups, man. We see the likes of Ethan Page. And we also see the likes of Sol Ruca. Now, again, 2 possible great additions to Monday Night Raw. Now, we do know that there was an announcement that Ethan Page is now on Monday Night Raw. We didn't really get much of an announcement for Sol Ruca, but I can see Sol Ruca moving up once she gets past Zarya in NXT and she gets called up to the main roster. Absolutely. I think she has one of the best finishes right now in all of WWE with the Soul Snatcher. I'm all for it. But we also get to SmackDown. And I know there's certain other names on SmackDown right now that they could use. I think JC Jane is going to get called up as well, former NXT Women's Champion. I can see her getting called up. Maybe some other names. I honestly, for me personally, if I was the person picking some people from NXT to get called up, I would 100% entertain the idea of JC Jane going to SmackDown. I would also entertain the idea of Kalani Jordan also going to SmackDown. I think Kalani Jordan is severely underrated. I saw her in the Rumble match in January. I thought she did a fantastic job. So yeah, I would call up JC Jane and Kalani Jordan. You want to throw some other names in there too, by all means. I'm not really 100% familiar right now with the current landscape of NXT as far as the roster is concerned, but I do know Kalani Jordan and JC Jane, and I would not be opposed at all to seeing both those ladies on SmackDown because they need it, bro. SmackDown is 3 hours of some of the most boring ass wrestling of every single week. They need something. They need a spark on SmackDown. I even made comments about Paige, but I know Paige ain't going nowhere because she's women's tag team champions and she's staying on Raw. But they need someone like that to bring some limelight to SmackDown. SmackDown's 3 hours of some of the most brutal ass wrestling every single week. It is absolutely fucking boring. They need something. So I'm looking forward to SmackDown with some of the call-ups hopefully we see on SmackDown. They desperately need it. Like I said, we saw the likes of Ethan Page and Sol Ruca. I'm expecting some more names to possibly be seen called up on Friday Night SmackDown as well. And they need it. They absolutely need it. But this Raw after Mania wasn't bad, man. I thought it was a solid show. Obviously, there's been better Raws after Mania than what we saw last night. But I didn't think last night was a terrible show. And they're starting to slowly plug the direction of where we're going, leading us into Backlash. I can see some rematches. I can see Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan as a rematch for the Women's World Title, being that, Backlash is 3 weeks, 3 weeks away. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be one of those pay-per-views that they're going to try to run some shit back just to get us past Backlash going into the next PLE. So, which I believe the next PLE, if I'm not mistaken, for WWE would be after Backlash Clash in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. Which is also in May, I think mid-May. So I'm all for that as well, man. I think, Raw definitely didn't disappoint. We heard from Oba Femi when we get the video package for Brock Lesnar. We hear from The Vision. We hear from Braun Breaker. We get the return of the Street Profits. We get call-ups with Ethan Page and Sol Ruca. And we also hear from the World Heavyweight Champion himself, the Tribal Chief. And it looks like the Tribal Chief might now have a Samoan Werewolf problem because Jacob Fatu is finally calling his shot for the World Heavyweight title. But with that being said, though, man, this is my review of Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.